sue.
Let me not lie to you, yo. Yeah?
Can you sue?
There's an open
I was gonna
investigation,
say,
but go on, Selenkay.
That payout must be massive.
But what's the payout to a collapsed lung, bro?
Welcome back to the X's and O's podcast. In the room today, we got myself, George, the voice of reason. To my left, we got the Bronze Bomber. We got Bam Bam. And we got Mr. Selenkay.
Are you telling me, dog?
So, as we know, the NFL's already kicked off. By the time you're listening to this, it'll probably be week 4 or 5. But currently, it's week 3 in the NFL. And last week saw, I think it probably go down in history as one of the most injury-plagued starts to the season. Multiple guys, to talk much of the 49ers, lost a lot of their starters. And the majority of these have been now revealed as ACL injuries, something that we know happens all too well in our sport. But I can't help think it's all down to the lack of preseason training camp. What else could it be? Like the guys, I mean, if any of you watched the Hard Knocks with the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, you'll see training camp isn't what it used to be. Hardly any contact. I think they were only padding up close towards the start of the season.
It wasn't
Not even padding, just shells.
Yeah,
well, there you go. I didn't finish it, to be honest. I wouldn't have seen that. But yeah, it's been a very different year. Obviously, we know I don't want to talk about that side of things because there's enough of that out there. But the rate of which these guys are getting hurt is a massive cause for concern. Not to talk of like our own sport in terms of we're not even playing, but the way these guys were going down in week 2, and I was watching it because I play fantasy football, don't know you guys.
Yeah.
And it was, this guy's gone down, the cart's coming out. This guy's gone down, the cart's coming out. This guy's questionable to return, out indefinitely, concussion. The one thing I want to quickly bring up is the Barkley injury. I don't know if anyone saw the Barkley injury, right? Let me just explain.
Did you watch the play before?
This is what I'm saying. Let me explain one thing. I understand the NFL, they're able to give you quick painkillers, right? And I'll jump onto Tyrell Taylor and what happened to him later.
Yeah, I was just going to say that as well.
Saquon Barkley hyperextended his right elbow. If anyone saw it, it was horrible, right? The very next play, he went back on and then basically tore his ACL. What kind of logic does that? I don't understand. What are the trainers doing?
He's your only player. What can you do?
I know everything's riding on his back, right? They haven't got the best squad, but if you know he's your star player, and he is, you saw the way he got up. If anyone that watched it, you saw the way he got up. Yeah, hyperextended his elbow. At that point, you can think, maybe let's just save him for another day and take the L and move on. I'm sure it was the very next play he went back on. Bear in mind, you probably don't have the same strength in your arm to fend guys off. And if you look when he was carrying the ball, he didn't really have much to him. Yeah. Goes down, which didn't look anything serious. I think his foot might have been planted and his knee twisted. And then it was revealed a few days later that, it's an ACL injury, which then prompted ACL after ACL after ACL after ACL. The logic just, it bypasses me. I don't understand it in terms of why they put him back out.
That particular one, I can't blame him for going back. I think all of us have been in his shoes before whereby we've made a play, been hurt, and, adrenaline makes you want to make that very next play. So you go back in and you make the play. Just sadly on this occasion, he happened to get hurt. That's football. You can get hurt, in my opinion, on any play. So I don't think I think all of us in his shoes would have probably gone back onto the field, if not the next play, but if not the next play, then eventually during that game anyway. So it's just one of those ones where she just happened to have got injured. It's frustrating because, like you said, it began a trend of ACL after ACL after ACL. And where there's so many injuries, especially of the same caliber, it does start making you think, like you said earlier, is it due to the lack of preseason? Is it due to the lack of contact? Is it due to the lack of preparation? Because I think one thing all of us that have been to training camps or even done a full preseason are aware of is that you need to train or prepare yourself for a game day. If you haven't prepared for a game day, you're more likely to get hurt, more likely to make a mistake because you're putting yourself in a situation that's actually rather alien because you haven't been in that situation for the last X amount of months. So I think that's where a lot of these injuries are coming from.
Crazy.
Sorry, go on, man.
Because I just looked at a list just now. 186 players currently.
186
currently on IR.
It's mad.
And these are not even obviously there are some names that we don't know, but names that stand out to me. For instance, Von Miller, AJ Boye, Le'Veon Bell, Richard Sherman, Marcus Mariota, Justin Coleman, Sterling Shepard, Mike Pouncey. I'm not going to announce this guy's name because I don't like him. Josh Norman, Josh Lambo, Richie Incognito, the racist.
Centre.
Marlon Mack, Adoree Jackson, Eli Apple, Malik Hooker, Kiko Alonso, David Njoku, Derwin James, Van der Esch from Dallas,
Yep.
Lael Collins. Bro, bare names. Brandon
The
Brooks.
Derwin James hurt me because it's the same knee. It's the same injury he had at university, but the other knee.
Yeah.
So,
But we know
I don't
what
like to say it, but I know, coming from like a soccer side, Owen Hargreaves,
Yeah.
you know with these knee
Made
injuries,
a glass, man.
100%.
when you see a talent like that, you know that he might never meet and actually achieve his
The
potential.
thing is, what happened to Tyron Matthew
Mm.
on one knee and then the other knee, he came back, he bounced
Yeah.
back. But the thing that's scary about Derwin James, as you said, is that the talent is there.
Yep.
That's the thing.
And when you see people like that, even Marlon Mack from Colts, like the talent is there.
Towards
And then when
Achilles.
you see just stuff like this, it's like, are they ever going to be able to play to the level where the talent was? Are they ever going to repeat that?
I have faith because you say those names,
Yeah,
but I'm
they go
looking
to the
at
best
like
doctors,
Kareem.
innit?
Huh?
They go to the best doctors.
Yeah, they go to best doctors, the best doctors that money can buy because, firstly, these teams have invested so much money in first round, second round picks, whereby they can't afford to lose these guys to IR, to injury, so they will spend all the money that they need to make sure that these guys are fixed. One, and then two, I'm looking at the guys like Kareem Hunt and thinking this guy had similar injuries as well. He was out for a year or two. And yeah, it takes a long time, but we're seeing it this season. This guy has still got crazy legs. He's still making plays. So yeah, it's going to take some time, but it's just tough and annoying because I'm imagining being in Derwin James' shoes. I'll be thinking, like, maybe football's not for me. Man.
That's the thing, the motivation.
It's painful. So
Like-
more than the injury, I think it might be a mental thing of thinking, one, maybe this isn't for me, and two, I need to now overcompensate for
Yep.
making sure I don't
lost.
get injured again and time lost. Exactly that. So
I don't know about you guys, but that first game back from injury is the scariest thing ever. I remember after my knee, when we played South Wales Warriors, bruv, I was so shook.
Remind, what was your injury?
ACL. ACL.
Partial tear or tear?
Partial, just like slight tear.
Mm.
Bruv, that game was scary. You know the ones where like you don't want to go, you have to go full speed, but you can't go. You don't want to go full speed.
Yeah.
Anyone that's diving at you, anyone that's it's like, bruv, don't let this happen again because unlike NFL, we don't get paid for this.
No.
It affects my daily life more than it affects
Correct.
anything else. When you're
Correct.
sleeping in the night and then
Correct.
trying to go to work, I remember I was working in Canary Wharf and my commute to Canary Wharf included walking up a lot of stairs, stations with no lifts. I was thinking, how am I going to get up these stairs on crutches, bruv?
But this is what I was telling you guys like a couple episodes ago, where I was like, "Would you guys play
Oh yeah.
through the pandemic?" Because it's the same thing. Let's say you play now, and catch something, like as Britballers, we're not going to get paid for missing the time off work. We're not going to get paid. Well, some of us might, but some people might not get paid for having to quarantine for 2 weeks. So it's like, is that risk worth it? And then that's from a coronavirus perspective. But is it also worth it from just a general injury perspective? Because I was in a group on Facebook, or I am in a group on Facebook, and someone said that they had a nasty injury. And the reason why they go private now and they advocate for people going private now is because they were off work for 6 months and the BAFA insurance only paid them out 100 or something.
Yeah, I know what approach you're talking about.
And it's like,
This was a couple years ago, innit?
I don't
Wasn't
know.
even- it wasn't that long ago, yeah.
I remember someone saying something about how
It's
the
like,
BAFA
wait,
insurance.
hold on, this person's mixed so many months of work and it's not BAFA. I'm not trying to blame BAFA for this. I'm just saying the insurance that they use is the company that they use pay this guy out 100 or something pounds. And I'm thinking, what?
Which is obviously does nothing.
Like, come on, that doesn't fend him for a week, especially if he's got a family.
It's a
Like,
day. Most people, the average daily earnings is £83 and 33 pence.
wow.
Not to talk if you're self-employed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you have a family. You
Or you
got
work
kids,
in
you got
manual
kids
labour.
to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where you
Exactly.
need.
I just think, obviously, when you compare BAFA and Britball, they're two different beasts in
100%.
their own right. And I guess it's a bit of hindsight. I guess now
They're
that
two
we- now
different
that-
beasts. Sorry, it's just
No,
sorry,
go on.
they're two different beasts, but they're two beasts that can cause the same injury. And I think
Yes,
that's the angle
correct.
I'm trying to-
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but I guess now, for me anyway, from when we had the previous podcast and we were answering the question about whether we would play through this COVID, etc. In hindsight, sitting here now, I'm just thinking like, I kind of think maybe now I'd say yeah, because you don't know what's gonna like. I guess it kind of happened in any kind of contact sport, even in football, which isn't all that contact as in soccer. you could go down like the NFL guys we're talking about now. For some reason, some of these knee repairs or ACL repairs or whatever might not go through, might not work.
Yeah, true.
And then in that case, they're completely screwed. Like I know a guy, a family member who used to play Britball actually, and then he screwed up his neck.
Neck.
Neck. Yeah.
That's something that you don't.
From
mess
that,
around
well,
with,
from that day, once that happened, he never played American
bro.
football.
I don't
again.
blame him. Neck,
Yeah,
bruv. You know what your neck is connected to.
that's potential paralysis, man. Potential.
Neck and vertebrae
Uh-huh.
are one bone, bruv.
Yeah. He played fullback, running back. He played for Kent actually, funnily enough.
Neck,
This is like
no
years
way.
ago though. But yeah, I guess it's just a case of where you are in terms of your life, your career, your personal circumstance, and I want to say the severity of the issue.
Nah.
Like,
Health over everything.
yeah, you're right. But as Britballers, as a Britball level, I mean, I don't know one player that hasn't had any kind of injury. Like, I can count injuries that we've had in the room alone just from us four sitting here.
Let me ask you, G, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. With this whole pandemic issue, yeah? Because injuries are not only the ones you can see or feel.
True, yes.
There's internal injuries, illnesses that can stop you from working. Yeah? Imagine we go back to playing football and, God forbid, you contract coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to self-isolate.
Mm-hmm.
Then not only you have to self-isolate,
Family.
your family has to self-isolate. So you got to take your children out of school, right?
Oh man.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I couldn't deal with schools closing again.
There you go.
It's the like you say. It's so the question leads to like the knock-on effect because it wouldn't just be me, but also like I want to relate it back to the NFL. Like, and I want to quickly read off the list of names from the 49ers. Yeah, to come back to your question, the number of guys that they lost in that one game against the Jets, I believe, who they beat. Obviously, some would say it's not really an important game because it was the Jets.
Every game is important.
The Jets are trash right now, but. So they lost Jimmy Garoppolo, which isn't long term, but they lost their starting quarterback. They lost their, you could say, starting running back in Raheem Mostert, who's out for, I say, like 4 to 6 weeks, I believe. On top of that, Tevin Coleman, the backup or also starting running back, is out 4 to 6 weeks. They're now down to Jeff Wilson and Jerick McKinnon, who was out for how many years with a knee injury? Yeah. McKinnon from the Vikings, that is. They also lost Deebo Samuel, which is before the start of the season, to a foot injury. He's out for a while. Then they lost their starting quarterback in Richard Sherman. Yes, some people would say he's not all that anymore, but he's still there.
Yeah, Richard Sherman's an IR.
No, I knew he was out, but he
Party
said he's
done.
not all that anymore. I don't
No,
understand.
some people will say that. Look,
People that don't
some
know.
people will say that.
Some
people.
These are the people that listen to the news and don't do their own research.
Yeah, so-
Richard Sherman is still it, bro.
To
Still, it will
continue.
start any team in the NFL, in my opinion.
Of course, no, he would. To continue, obviously, I'm guessing most people by now know about Nick Bosa, the brother of Joey Bosa, who plays for the Chargers, who also just signed a massive contract.
Massive.
And just to drop in there
George
quick,
Kittle's injured as well.
yeah, George Kittle. Just to add in to that, you can see as I stop short of the list, you can see why these players hold out when they do.
Yeah.
Anything can happen at any given moment, and look what's happened in week 2 of the NFL. So to continue the list, Nick Bosa's out, torn ACL completely, he's done. And then you go on to George Kittle, who has both a bone bruise and a slight, I think, other knee injury, who's also out, and he's been declared out for this week, which is week 3 of the NFL. That is 5 or 6, and that's not even a quarter of the amount of injuries that happened in week 2. But essentially, that is a 49ers starting lineup. Gone. Absolutely gone.
Snap.
Who have you just seen?
No, you said it already, but they've lost bad.
Listen, I'm telling you, this is just
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
No, I was
11,
doing the
12,
maths
13,
here.
14.
there is
16 players, bro.
listen, there is I don't know what the history records are, but I'm sure there is some kind of I want to say achievement or record. It's the wrong word to use, but I don't recall this amount of injury, and it can only be down to the fact that the dreaded C word scenario, which is happening right now, which meant a lack of training camp or hardly any training camp at all. Like you said, they weren't padded; they were just shelled up. Your body needs to get time. It needs time to get back into the contact of things. And I know starters don't usually play preseason anyway. Maybe 1 or 2 snaps because they can't risk.
Still get that.
But they still get that. Their body and their mind all connects. They get used to being on the field, making the cuts, warming up your body, getting your muscles used to taking hits. Which is the thing. You need to remember how to be hit and how to fall.
Yeah.
I know it's things that we probably don't think about because we're so ingrained. So it comes second nature.
I'm with you.
But when you've lost so much time, and you're so out of routine from what you normally do, this is the result. It's not a mishap that all these guys have torn their ACLs. It's not a mishap at all.
Yeah.
I think it is something to do with it. But I remember, don't you remember the year that Odell, his ankle, what was it, 2017?
2 years ago, yeah.
With the Giants still.
Yeah, when he was with the Giants, there were bare injuries there as well. I think.
You're right. You are right.
And they had a full season. Like, I'm not saying obviously
Yeah.
it's in an ideal world you do want to have your preseasons, you want to have your joint practices, you want to know how to essentially you want to learn how to fall.
Yes.
So that when you do fall, it's like when you're learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
If you know how to fall off a bike,
Exactly.
you prevent the injuries that you have
Yeah.
because you know how to fall.
Yeah.
Same thing with NFL. But there were, I remember. I think it was 2017 when there were bare injuries, and we're like, guys were just dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was, obviously injuries happen anyway. But I do think the fact that they haven't had a preseason
Mm-hmm.
and an off and whatever
Training camp.
training camp,
All the physical
not
contact.
like imagine at that level as well, not being able to do all of that, and then you're hitting someone like
Exactly.
300-pound men,
Exactly.
on the regs.
Or
Growing
simple
up.
things like, Joe McCoy, who's now with the Cowboys, who was traded from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone saw the video of how I think it was an ankle issue, but there's a video of how it happened. You will never in your life expect the injury that occurred to happen. He was doing a drill.
Celebration.
No, he was doing a simple blocking drill, and he just tripped over another lineman's foot and fell backwards, and that was it, out for the season. I forgot what injury it was, but it just goes to show.
Who was the guy that was doing a Ronaldo celebration? Never been injured in his NFL career.
I'm not
Did
sure.
the Ronaldo? I got to look up. Huh? That's it. Detroit Lions. Yeah, he was
Wow.
doing the and he did the
What,
Ronaldo.
the
he got a
pose,
sack.
sort of.
He did the Ronaldo celebration. Ankle gone.
Wow.
See that?
Yeah.
Gone.
I just think it's a shame because when we can kind of link it back to our previous episodes about is it worth playing, where we spoke about the NFL but also ourselves. Like a lot of these guys are probably thinking, damn, why didn't I opt out? Because I don't know if any viewers you might recall where we spoke about some guys will probably be seeing this as a year to recover and re-heal and not potentially risk catching COVID, but also potentially not risk getting hurt. So now that so many injuries have happened due to the lack of training, the lack of contact, the lack of training camp, the lack of everything that they would normally have pre-season, I wonder if some of these guys are now thinking, gosh, why didn't I just sit out?
Yeah, but
Like,
it wasn't,
I
it
say
wasn't
sit
an
out.
option. It wasn't an option for the injuries. It was an option for COVID.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering whether they're thinking in
Of course,
hindsight,
yeah,
why
but
wouldn't I maybe
my
I should
body
have just
ready.
opted out. I know that I'm not going to be able to train like I normally had. I know that I didn't have access to all the things that I would have pre-season. Maybe I should. It's hindsight, we'll never know. But I just wonder whether people were
it's
thinking
true,
that way.
It's true, but that's all. That's what we're saying. The mental toughness. That's what we were saying about the mental toughness of the game. But it's as you said, hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Honestly,
I just reckon. I don't know. I think even if they did have a preseason and whatnot, like I think injuries are inevitable.
yes, agree.
So even if they were to have a preseason, I can understand why it could be the biggest excuse because I don't think we've ever seen on record a weekend where so many players have been injured.
It's unbelievable.
But I still think injuries would have happened.
Yeah,
But my one that's striking me the most is that how many 49ers got injured? Why didn't the Jets get injured as much as the 49ers? Like what? Because that's unheard of, I think.
it's almost like when they used to say
16.
Arsenal used. When a lot of Arsenal guys used to get hurt all the time, they used to say, "Oh, let's fire the physios if they're not doing something right or whatever." Like you almost start to wonder, is there something going on there? Like let's jump to
We're talking about physio.
Let's-
I know
yeah,
exactly,
that's it.
I know
Let's
exactly
jump-
where you're going.
Let's jump to Tyrod Taylor, and it's unfortunate because this guy has not been. I say he's not been given a chance. Like when he was with the Browns, things weren't really going his way. The crowd soon wanted Baker. The club wanted Baker. It was only a matter of time. Baker comes on and he wins that game, I believe. And one of the histories they have, I don't know if you saw, was the locked fridges that they have at certain areas in Cleveland. When they were waiting for the Cleveland Browns to win the game, when they finally won that game with Baker, all these fridges around the city automatically opened for free beers.
Serious?
Yeah, man, have a look on YouTube. It's worth it.
It was on there, Hard Knocks, though.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tyrod Taylor now has been traded to the LA Chargers. New stadium, like amazing stadium. They share it with the Rams, fair enough. But new opportunity. The Chargers go and draft Justin Herbert from Oregon Ducks, I believe it is.
Yeah, Ducks, yeah.
Huge arm, like rookie, but huge arm, right? So I saw some of this on Hard Knocks. Repeatedly, they come out and they say Taylor is a starter. Sometimes they play mind games with things like this, but Taylor is a starter. Taylor is a starter. He started the first game. Did the Chargers win week 1? I can't remember. I'm not sure if they won week 1, but Tyrod played, and head coach openly said that Herbert won't be seeing a lot of time because we need to use our experienced guy. He knows the offense. He can control the offense. Herbert, you sit back and learn. Week 2, it was later revealed that Herbert was told that he was starting the game
10
seconds
before kickoff.
And I think a report came out that said he thought it was a joke, but in the press conference he said he was ready.
But apparently there was an issue with
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to build the story.
Oh yeah, cool.
So it was later revealed. It was announced as, because I always have my eye on the news, because one, I love the NFL, but two, I play fantasy football in it, so I always need to know what's happening. It was late. It was at the time. It was revealed that Tyrell Taylor had a chest injury and had trouble breathing, so he was taken to hospital. So in comes Herbert, who nearly beat Kansas City. Actually, they only won by a field goal.
Well,
technically, yes. For a rookie, he did really well. Then it was revealed a couple of days later that Tyrell Taylor was being given a pain. It would have been a steroid injection, a pain injection for, I think, cracked ribs or bruised ribs. However, the team doctor, whilst trying to administer this injection, punctured his lung. Punctured his lung, and now there's an investigation happening. Can you imagine being
like
Tyrell Taylor?
Sack him.
You said it.
You know what?
Almost
sack him.
Go on.
It sounds like a sabotage, bruv.
Because
If I talk,
I'm telling you.
If I talk,
I'm telling you. It sounds like a sabotage.
If I talk, and he happens to be the one that's spearheading the Black Lives Matter movement in a way. If I talk,
I prefer not to speak.
see, like, my opinion on this is, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. He was left with a collapsed lung as a result, collapsed lung, and they've said to him indefinitely, you should not play.
Mad.
Because you have a collapse. It's not a minor, indefinitely.
Imagine that.
It's not something you recover from quickly, although the media and the news outlets were trying to say.
Can he sue?
Let me not lie to you, yo. Yeah?
Can he sue?
There's an open
I was gonna
investigation,
say,
but go on, Selenkay.
That payout must be massive.
But what's the payout to a collapsed lung, bruv?
Bro, I
To
hear
an NFL
you.
starter.
No, I hear he's
And
not. He's not.
Bruv, he started.
Come on, he's not an NFL
He's not an NFL
starting
starter.
yeah.
He's not of that caliber.
Yeah.
Don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
But he started and he won. What more can you ask for?
I hear it, but he knew his time was limited.
No.
Justin,
it
no,
wasn't
100%. His time was limited. Justin Herbert was brought in to eventually start at the Chargers.
Listen,
be that week 2, be that week 13, Justin Herbert would have
But
eventually.
you can
been
say that
the
about
starter.
Tua at Miami.
Yeah,
That will
eventually would be the
happen.
starter,
I
though.
believe that
Yeah,
will
it's-
happen.
it's
Of course
one-
he
it's
will,
one
but-
of those things. So
Tyrell Taylor's not old, you know.
I don't know how old he is, but in my opinion,
He's been around, but he's not old.
He's the senior version of Haskins. Do you know what I mean? They're those players that are always gonna go from team to team and be NFL caliber QB, but starting caliber, I'm not sure of. And the thing is, I like Tyrell Taylor.
I don't
but it's
like
just one of those things. He's not of that standard.
Yeah.
So this has happened. You can't look back. You can only look forward. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm with V. I am suing the arse out of my organization because you have now ruined my career because they have said professionally that I should not play this sport again.
Listen, the term indefinitely is not to be
You know
thrown
what
around.
it definitely means?
Basically,
It means
until
that he might
foreseeable
not,
future.
like, they suspended Josh Gordon indefinitely.
But how do you? But anyway, I don't. I'm not a scientist.
So, like,
I'm not
I know what you're going
I
to
don't-
ask. What you want, what you wanted to say, Selenkay, is how do you puncture someone's lung when you're like? I guess the area that they were giving him the treatment would have been somewhere on his rib cage because of his bruised or broken ribs. One of them, and it's a point to say, guys get these injections. Literally,
time.
they come.
All the time.
Saquon Barkley probably had one the moment he came off
Yeah, 100%.
for
When
his
they go to the
hyperextended
change
arm
room,
and then
yeah.
went back on. But it does. I can't lie. It sounds so suspect. I personally don't think it's any like intentional wrongdoing personally. But I would love to know like
How you
the
mix it.
science
That's an
behind
expensive
it.
mistake.
Because like you said, like, and there is now an open investigation. Tyrell Taylor cannot play, and he also now has to factor in the loss of earnings.
Bro, Anthony Lynn, the injury is not career threatening, and the team doctor just made a mistake. I'm not angry at all. It happens. I can't go into details about
happens,
it.
you know.
There was a complication with the shot. No one is perfect. It happens. The doctor, I know, is a good man for sure. Sounds like Donald Trump.
To be fair to
Bro, no, you don't. You're starting quarterback,
Hmm.
and you're just shodding off like it's nothing. That sounds like a sabotage.
I think to put it at another angle. So Anthony Lynn is the head coach of the Chargers. For those of you that may not know, when something like this happens, this is something that could potentially harm certain parts of your squad in terms of the reputation, right? So you have to kind of feed the media, not so much so that they slate you and say that you guys don't know what you're doing or your physios are not up to scratch. So you have to be political with your answer. So I'm not surprised by the answer. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, I'm sure there's a lot of panic happening because now they're trending everywhere. Think about like now when someone else gets injured, the focus is going to be on, well, I wonder which team doctor is doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what the procedure is.
If you're a player at the Chargers, are you trusting that team doctor again?
That's the thing.
Like, it's bad enough that we have...
He has to go.
It's bad enough that we have COVID. It's bad enough that guys are... Well, I say bad enough. Guys have decided to opt out for whichever reason. It's all personal.
Man.
Only for your team to now lose its starting quarterback to a collapsed lung at the hands of your team doctor. And I understand Coach Anthony Lynn when he says things happen. That's fine. Things happen all the time. I get it.
You don't pour it off like that, though.
But again, that would have been a political response for obvious reasons. You can't really give the media the fuel because before you know it, you'll hear nothing, and your team will be surrounded by media every day. Do you trust your team doctor? Do you have faith in the Chargers? Do you have faith in your head coach Anthony Lynn? And that can't run, right? We're at the start of the NFL season, a very different NFL season. Give it that. You don't want this added pressure.
True, yeah.
You do not want this added pressure. The good thing I will say, and this is unfortunate for Tyrod, is Herbert is looking all right.
Herbert looked good.
It's unfortunate.
He looked
To
good.
put the Kansas City on the ropes,
Like that.
He looked good.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good, bro.
Boy.
Because even wasn't his first throw like 20 plus yards. He looked.
Herbert
Yeah,
has...
it was.
I think he's...
but
no,
even
sorry,
from-
go on, Selenkay.
It's just one of those ones of next man up, and
Yes.
it's a tough one, man, because it's like you don't want the next man up to be there in such circumstances, but I don't know, man. Like you said, Herbert did well. All I can hope is that he doesn't think, oh yeah, yes, this is my chance. He just thinks, all right, cool, like I'll carry on the torch from where you left it, Tyrod, and go from there.
On that note, I just want to quickly say, do we reckon the 49ers, they're now starting Nick Mullins, I believe it is.
Who is Nick Mullins?
Well,
I've never heard of this.
He played for quite a bit last season. I can't remember. It must have been when Garoppolo was hurt or injured or whatever it was.
Weren't they starting another guy?
Is it Nick Mullins? I think it's Nick Mullins.
No, it's Nick. No, it's Nick Mullins now. But they were starting another guy.
Yeah, when Garoppolo went out,
first injured.
Yeah, they played somebody else. I can't remember who it is.
Is it Blaine Gabbert?
I don't know.
Someone.
But what are your opinions on the 49ers in terms of moving forward? Garoppolo will come back. Bosa's not coming back. Deebo Samuel's not coming back till later in the season. Coleman and both Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert are out up to 6 weeks. George Kittle is in some. Remember he's had a history of knee injuries as well. He has both a bruised bone and another knee issue. It's not looking good at all.
They can make the playoffs with a 500 record. So
you reckon?
Yeah,
I don't think so. Their division is the toughest in the NFL.
It is, but it's so tough that everyone loses to everyone. So
yeah, but Seahawks, Rams, them, and
it's only Seahawks that I see running away in that division, and that's because Russell Wilson's one of my favorite players.
Russell Wilson is just ridiculous.
Well, the Seahawks are looking like another level right now.
Seahawks, Rams,
He's playing
them,
angry.
and Rams in my
It's a
opinion.
tough
Rams in my opinion, no, there's one more, but Rams in my opinion aren't even great anyway. So
they don't have someone to stretch the field. You've got Robert Woods, who just signed a contract. You've got Cooper Kupp, who also just signed a contract. But like you just say, you've got Arizona, who are looking amazing.
They're all two
amazing.
Arizona are 2-0.
Yeah.
Rams are 2-0. I know it's early, and Seattle's all 2-0.
Yeah.
very, very, very early.
It is early, but it's this is when the what's the word I'm looking for? The
pathways or like
projections start to happen.
Yeah. I just think it's just a very weird time. We know that anyway. And for these injuries to happen, because I think it might have been 2017 that you mentioned, Bam Bam. The last time this sort of level of injuries occurred, there was a lot of talk about how the level of ACL injuries keeps going up and up and up. Hence why they decided to even shorten the number of preseason games, if you remember. And also, I remember they added, or they removed week 17, did they? As they brought it forward. I can't remember what the official decision was, but normally there's a week 17, but they voted to play an extra game, did they not?
Yeah, from next season.
From next season.
But less preseason games.
Yes, less preseason games because
still playing.
Yeah. So and again, the starters don't tend to play these preseason games anyway.
The last game.
But is there? Do we think there needs to be cause for concern, or is it purely just an odd year because of the lack of preseason and training camp?
I think there's always going to be an immediate cause for concern, regardless if something was mad or not. Like it's a stop-start game. Injury, like. It's not as if this is the first time we've heard about ACL injury. Like it's always going to happen. So I think it's like it's why they have team doctors in it. Like injuries are inevitable in the sport. I don't think there is much anyone can do to prevent injuries. Obviously, the Seahawks have been introduced. Were like, I think one of the first teams to introduce the bird tackle.
Hawk roll.
Hawk roll, that's it. Taking heads out of tackles, which is good, but you still see guys getting hit.
Yeah.
And I know like the NFL will put fines on it. Like what's his name? Seahawks guy got ejected for the hit on N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
So that's all good, but I don't. I don't think any amount of preseason game. It will help, but I don't think any amount of preseason games or any amount of off-season training or whatnot, OTAs, is going to stop injuries from happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it stops injuries from happening, but I do think that this year is an odd year, and I strongly believe it's down to a lack of preseason. Like you said, 183 people on IR at the moment is insane. That's on average 6 people at every team being injured.
Ridiculous.
6. That's crazy. That means you've had to promote 6 people from your practice squad, and that doesn't happen often. So
yeah,
I definitely do think it's down to the lack of preseason. I feel like the NFL rushed it a little bit, but I can see why. There's so many commercials around.
Money,
exactly
innit?
that. There's so many commercials. There's money. They've had to do it, but if you're gonna have to rush it, then if you can rush games, surely you can rush the way in which you speed up by the time in which guys get kitted. Like you said, like these guys were shelled. There was no preseason friendlies like that we used to see and sort of thing. So, yeah, I like you said, injuries are gonna happen, but to this rate, I don't think there's been a season that has been this bad, especially by week 2.
But this is my point,
and it's weird because I'll take it back to soccer. So when soccer first came back during the lockdown, there was a stupid amount of injuries then as well. But again, they never really had a pre-season. They got told it's a lockdown. You guys can do your home workouts, and then this is when we start playing football.
Yeah,
and injuries are gonna happen. And injuries happen then because again, they're not used to running the 90 minutes. They're not used to getting barged and slide tackled and putting their bodies into actual game day situations. And I think that's what a lot of these NFL guys have missed.
But yeah, man. Again, to wrap up, I personally think it's shocking, and I think what is going to happen now is it's going to be the year of finding all the newbies, all the people on the squads that are undiscovered, who can actually step up to the plate, who can take charge.
That's a slap.
The Jacksonville running back.
There's a Johnson and Robinson, wearing number 30. Reminds me of Michael Turner. But on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thank you once again, guys, for tuning in to all the episodes that we're bringing to you. We've got tons of episodes for you to watch, tons of content on YouTube. And make sure you keep it locked on all socials, X's and O's team. And we'll catch you on the next podcast and episode. Take it easy. Peace.